Hello, everybody. Hope we're doing very well today. A little bit late to the live, but I was out and about today, and I still wanted to show up for you guys. And I thought it's much better once I'm settled in. I can actually talk about these topics in a way that's probably less erratic. So, if you're joining me today, say hello, and of course, tell me, where are you dialing in from, and what is it that you do? Today, what I really wanted to talk about is impact investment. And really, it's an interesting idea because it's been around actually for centuries now, but it's obviously gained a lot of traction recently, especially with very close alignment with sustainability, environmental, social sustainability. But I guess if we talk about the history of it, that will help us understand how this sort of idea really evolved. So yeah, again, if you're on live, feel free to ask any questions along the way. I'm just sharing some thoughts, some ideas, and yeah, I'd love to hear what yours are as well. So really, just to get right into it, this idea of positive, impactful investment, something that is socially responsible while also, of course, benefiting business, is a lot more recent. But the earlier origins of the concept is really about how can we use our money, the profits that we've gained from our work and our investments, to do something good for the community. And so, obviously, that's been around for a long time, and really, even in the early ancient cultures, even around the 1500s or so, that's when this idea really came out as an idea that should be mandated, that everybody who is part of the community, part of the thriving civil society, should be contributing back to their communities. And really, this came about for the purpose of moral and religious reasons. And so it was about moving away from using your money just on things that were obviously bad, not just for you, but bad for the community, such as gambling and alcohol, and consuming products that were against religious requirements. And so this idea then started to evolve. It gained a lot of traction even in the last 50 years. Really, it's probably since the last 50 years, it's especially gained traction in very close alignment with sustainability. And the idea of socially responsible investment, SRI, has now started to not only gain traction, but gain some sort of structure as well within society and within the investment, within the investment, I won't call it industry, but that area of the economy. And so investors are realizing that we want to make sure that our money is being put towards something good, for one, which is why a lot of the super funds, a lot of the banking trusts and bonds and so on, they talk about how the money is being used for socially responsible, environmentally responsible investments, and not towards things like alcohol, tobacco. Those are the ones that really got, also arms and guns and so on, got really scrutinized for as a bad investment choice, essentially. And now what's really wonderful is we're realizing not only is this about moving away from things that are bad with our money and how we invest, but also how can we make money and be financially thriving in our choices around investment, and through our choices of investment, and the way that we use our money and the way that we run our business. And so this idea of tying in ESG and ESG metrics has become really important with how the environment, obviously social systems, human systems, can be positively impacted through the right investment decisions and making money flow in the right way. And so this idea now is being taken up by very important and structured authoritative bodies, such as the UNPRI is probably one of the biggest out there, similar to the GRI, in thinking of just ESG. Obviously, there is no such thing as just ESG because it's all interrelated. So they're very closely related, but these peak bodies, or these authorities in this space, are starting to create, or not starting to, but have now created very clear structure around what it is that defines responsible investment, and then what are the mechanisms under which you can responsibly invest your money, and how do we then measure it and use that for a purpose of continued expansion. And that's basically with the idea of improving the economic system so that there is an economy that is not just good for the environment, so looking at regenerative aspects, good for people. Sorry, not just good for the environment and looking at regenerative aspects, but also looking at how it can be good for people through distributive aspects. So the idea of a donut economy ties in very nicely here, because the donut economy is built on socially responsible investment principles, and it's an economic model, which is what this is all moving towards, an economic model where we are both looking at regenerating our environment, the environment we have highly depleted, while also looking at how can we distribute our funds better, not put it towards things that are not even just blazingly obviously bad for the environment or bad for people, but also the ones that are, in some ways, not just indirectly, but maybe subtly bad. And we're starting to realize and become more aware of our investment decisions and the power that we have with our money, even at a much smaller consumer level. And I guess you could say that there are varying levels then in that sense of socially responsible investment. So yes, this idea is certainly gaining traction, and I know there are some really great, more encompassing programs that are out there that are looking at how can governments, through their sovereign investment choices, improve the investment decisions and the way that they measure and track these programs to continue to support countries in moving towards their Paris Agreement goals, so their decarbonization pathway, essentially. And how do we close the gap on that decarbonization pathway quicker, because we're all essentially running out of time. And for a long part of that period of the SBTI and the science-based targets, the science-based ICCP ideas of where we are at in terms of global warming, for a long part of their outcry for help or for action to be taken, many governments have not taken it very seriously. And so now is the time to take it seriously. And that's where these investors can come in and really drive powerful change with driving this new agenda of socially responsible investment, and driving it very heavily throughout all avenues of financial transactions, essentially. So yes, this is a really important space, and I think that it also comes down to businesses on an individual level, not just in terms of their community outreach and their community programs and their social responsible programs, but also internally as a business. What do they do with their money, with their surplus, with their profits? How do they direct that towards more socially responsible choices, where they're researching or on new ideas and ways to improve, or investing in their people for improvement and supporting the move towards a more sustainable operation or sustainable supply chain? How are they doing these things internally? And what decisions are they making to investment framework of thinking? So it's all interrelated. We covered a few different self, but certainly socially responsible investment is connected to the circular economy and the donut economy, as I mentioned. It's connected to, of course, ESG and those frameworks of thinking, and is, of course, connected to us as individuals and how we want to use our money for something that is purposeful. And as businesses, how can we make better choices to ensure that our business not only thrives financially, but also reduces its impact on everything around us, the environment, the people, and so on. So it's something that I guess I'm not the expert in, but I'm certainly interested in this topic. If you have any ideas to share about it, please feel free to do so. I'd love to hear that. Otherwise, feel free to share your questions or comments later on, and I look forward to seeing them. Have a great rest of your week, and I look forward to speaking to you all soon. Take care, everyone. Bye.